近60%的住宅建筑遭受破坏，约170万人流离失所。从去年10月7号延宕至今的敌对行动，让加沙处处笼罩在危险的阴影之中。面对脆弱的安全局势和极度的资源匮乏，当地人如何为生存而疲于奔命？在炮火无情和准入受限的背景下，人道主义工作者又如何为了运送援助的最后1公里而殚精竭虑？8个多月来，联合国新闻一直从多方角度记录着这场人间悲剧，也成为了不少人关注加沙战事的一双眼睛。今天的侃侃联合国，就让我们来聊一聊我们自己的故事。在演播室当中，我们请到了联合国新闻阿拉伯语组的同事瑞姆阿巴萨。Hi, Reem. It's such a great pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this wonderful opportunity. And greetings to everyone listening and watching us from China or the Chinese-speaking audience.
Thank you so much. Actually, I've been looking forward to this talk for a long time, but I dare not to probably disturb you because I know you and your team are working around the clock to face such difficult and complicated situations and to do a multi-pronged conflict coverage. And to me, among all the 10 languages of the UN News, I think you are the closest to the conflict coverage right now, apparently because of what's happening in Gaza. So first and foremost, could you tell us a little bit about your team? It's a big team behind you.
The team is amazing. I cannot say but wonderful things about them. It's not big in numbers at all. We're 5 people in the team. Usually when people look at the production we produce, the multimedia production, they wonder how many people are there, but we're only one small team. But they are very dedicated. They believe in UN values, and that's what moves us. So the team works around the clock to bring to our audience original content, accurate and very, very true to what's happening over there.
I can tell that you're so proud of them.
I am. And so proud actually of all UN News in the 10 languages, as you mentioned. I'm very impressed by this new program that you're having right now, even though the work is like we're overstretched with work, but you never stop looking for new ideas to get the message across to the audience. So thank you also for your creativity and wonderful and dedicated work.
Thank you so much. I'm also very proud to be part of this big family of UN News. I think you have been into some kind of crisis mode since probably last April,
yes,
when the conflicts in Sudan has broken out. So I'm wondering, how could you cope with crisis after crisis? You have to take care of all those different hotspots of conflicts around the world. What's your working routine right now?
Exactly, as you said. So we have also before Gaza, which is a huge, of course, crisis right now. We had Sudan, as you mentioned. We have Yemen. We have Syria. We have also still problems going on in other countries in the region, the Middle East and North African region. And I'm saying the Middle East and North African just to include Libya, for example, where the UN is working very hard to push the political process forward. But since the war in Sudan broke, we've been very active in trying to cover the crisis in all its facets. And this goes for Gaza too, what's happening in Gaza. We want you to know what's happening to pregnant women. We want you to know what's happening to the disabled community, people with disabilities. We want to grab your attention to the plight of children, displaced or refugees, for example. So we're trying to cover, and how we do that is by interviewing UN officials, UN humanitarians, giving them a platform to relay the real picture, the accurate picture to everyone around the world.
That's a very concise picture of how you can do these coverages. And of course, we'll give our audience an exact example, probably based on your coverage in Gaza, because since last October, we've seen the territory has been turned upside down, and also probably our working mode has also been changed. According to your observations, like compared to the former hostilities happening in Gaza, which I think probably you have also witnessed, do you think there's something very special and even unprecedented about the ongoing war right now?
Yeah. The Secretary General said it very clearly that what's happening right now is unprecedented since he assumed his office in its scale, in its intensity. So it's really huge. I wanted maybe for Gaza to mention quickly a recent interview my colleague did with UNICEF spokesperson, James Elder. He talked about one specific boy that I really remember. Back in November, he told us that he met this little boy. His name is Omar, and he lost his parents and his twin brother. Omar was closing his eyes all the time, and James was wondering. He asked his aunt, why is he doing that? And she told him he's trying to keep his parents' memory alive. He's trying not to forget how they look like. And now he went back a few months later and he met Omar again, and Omar cannot remember how his parents look like anymore. So this might seem for someone that it's not like a big deal, but it's something big for a little boy. And he talked also about how children are being amputated without any anesthesia, without drugs. So the suffering is huge for sure. And our humanitarian colleagues are trying to do everything they can to try to alleviate it.
Of course, children are probably the most vulnerable group during the conflicts. Like any other group that you are very concerned with, yes, their situation.
Absolutely. You and I talked before about our reporter in Gaza. His name is Ziad. Ziad did a report that I will not forget also about the deaf community in Gaza. He interviewed a young Palestinian Gazan who's using social media and use sign language to tell the world what's happening in Gaza. He visited him in the UNRWA school that turned into a shelter. He talked about unique challenges they're facing because they cannot hear the bombs, they cannot hear the warnings, they cannot hear the people calling them to get away from danger. And he talked about how some of his friends lost their lives because of these unique challenges. And also there was another feature, another report that he sent to us about how people turn to animal feed. Because as you remember, there are many, many challenges facing humanitarian assistance getting into Gaza, especially in the north in the last few months. So people, to make bread, they turn to animal feed, they milled it, they mix it with very small amount of flour, and they made something that looks like bread. It tastes not so good, but this is the only thing they had. Things like that shows you really how life is for people on the ground.
I have to echo that because Ziad is really a frequent seen name in your coverage. And so I'm wondering whether you have met him in person?
I haven't, because I've been to Gaza once before, but when I went, it was in 2018. Ziad was not working with us at that time.
And also, I think there is a very interesting connection between Ziad and your team. What connects you right now is the coverage, is the video, the real situation in Gaza, and also it's the kind of a duty to uncover the truth in Gaza.
Yeah. And not only work that connects us, when we hear something in the news, we feel very worried about him, what's happening. So we try to, through our channels of communication, Ziad, where are you? What's happening? Are you okay? Your family? Please keep us. And for us, to be honest, his personal safety is the most important thing.
出于对特约记者齐亚德人身安全的考虑，我们暂且无法目睹他的真容。但在得知侃侃联合国要推出这期节目之后，他欣然接受为我们录制一段语音，来讲讲他的近况。现在就让我们一起去听一听这个来自加沙的声音。
مرحبا بمستمعي أخبار الأمم المتحدة من الصين وكافة أنحاء العالم. هذا أنا زياد طالب مراسل أخبار الأمم المتحدة في قطاع غزة. منذ أكثر من 9 أشهر من عمر الحرب الجارية في قطاع غزة نواصل رصد الأوضاع الإنسانية للفلسطينيين وما عكسته تلك الحرب على كافة أشكال حياتهم التي تغيرت فيها أساليب الحياة خلال نزوحهم في الخيام وتنقلهم المستمر من مكان لآخر بحثا عن الأمان. كل هذا تم توثيقه بالصوت والصورة، وحاولنا بقدر ما استطعنا عكس ما يجري في قطاع غزة للعالم بشفافية ووضوح. خاصة أنني وعائلتي نزحنا 4 مرات داخل مدن قطاع غزة بعد أن فقدت كباقي سكان القطاع منزلي الذي جرى تدميره في مدينة غزة. لقد عشت الواقع بتفاصيله. كان هذا دافع كبير لمواصلة نقل ما يعانيه سكان القطاع. عند لقائنا بالنازحين، وبالمناسبة فإن غالبية سكان القطاع عايشوا تلك التجربة، تجربة النزوح القاسية والعيش داخل الخيام، يتساءلون عن موعد نهاية هذه الحرب. هذا أول سؤال يتم توجيهه عند معرفتهم أنك صحفي. 9 أشهر والسؤال يتكرر والحرب مستمرة. الجميع هنا يتطلع لإنهاء الحرب والعودة للحياة الطبيعية. المهم بالنسبة للناس هنا أن يتركوا حياة الخيام وطوابير الحصول على المياه وغلاء الأسعار في المواد الأساسية وأصوات الانفجارات، رغم إدراكهم أن بيوتهم مدمرة لكنهم مستعدون للعيش فيها.
So including Ziad, do you know what kind of morals right now in Gaza for the ordinary people? Because we know they are facing a very desperate situation, but they're still holding up the hope.
This is a very good question, and actually Ziad showed us a glimpse of how people feel in Gaza. You remember the Security Council adopted a resolution on ceasefire between Hamas and Israel. So Ziad went to the streets and asked people, what do you think about this? The feedback and the reaction was, I can say mixed. Some of them are very hopeful. Someone said that I'm really, people clapped and cheered in the schools where that turned into shelters. They were super happy that the Security Council agreed on a resolution. And then he said, come morning, nothing changed. We saw that nothing changed. So he was frustrated, but also hoping that something will happen. A mother said that all she hopes for is for the war to stop so she can go and visit her children's graves. She lost children. And her other son is still in the north. So she wanted to be reunited with them. So people feel between desperation and at the same time they're hopeful that something will happen. They want to live. They want peace. They want their children to be educated and reach their potential.
I think we can also see very strong qualities and even some kind of resilience from the Palestinian people right now in Gaza, from your coverage and from the stories sent by Ziad. And also, as you said, the UN agencies, they have done a great effort to minimize the effects of the war. And one of them is UNRWA, as you have mentioned. Could you remind us of the important work and role of UNRWA right now in Gaza?
Absolutely. UNRWA, of course, is mandated by member states, is mandated by the General Assembly to keep working until there is a solution for the refugee issue. But UNRWA goes beyond. They're helping everyone in Gaza. So UNRWA is doing a lot to change people's lives through education, through health, through psycho-social support, everything else. And its role is more important than ever right now in Gaza. The UNRWA has lost many of our colleagues since the start of this war, around 200. So it's a huge loss. And the impressive thing right now is during all of this suffering, you will see that videos coming out from UNRWA of staff organizing entertainment events for the children, singing with them, clapping with them, organizing games for them. And you say, what goes through their mind? They're putting a smiling face for the children just to give them some kind of normalcy in their lives. So UNRWA colleagues are heroes. All our humanitarian colleagues working in Gaza are heroes, and outside Gaza as well, because they need the support of the agencies outside to be able to do the work they're doing inside. So it's very impressive. We're very proud of them and very proud to be working with them.
That's really like silver lining in the clouds. And of course, I think the final goal for them is to make all the Palestinian refugees become self-reliant, and so that the problem could be resolved like permanently. And so in this matter, I think UN's principles and position have never been changed. That's the two-state solution. Could you remind us what are exactly this two-state solution?
Yeah. In general, this means the two-state solution means two states, Israel and Palestine, a viable, independent Palestinian state with Jerusalem a capital for both of them, living side by side in peace and security. So both people need the peace and need security, and they deserve it. So the UN is pushing for this. The Secretary General, all UN officials in every occasion, they stress on this because we don't want the cycles of violence to continue. UN is working on the political front as well. What we need is a permanent solution, a durable solution. And this will come through a political settlement. The two-state solution will be in its core.
And of course, firstly, we need the ongoing hostilities in Gaza to end as soon as possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need civilians to be protected.
Mm-hmm.
We need, of course, the hostages to be released and the humanitarian aid to reach at a scale for Gaza, for them to have the humanitarian assistance that they deserve and they need. The children, older people, women, men, because I always say we have to mention men because I think it's maybe a historic thing to say always women and children, but also men are civilians.
Yes, everybody. Nobody could be left behind, especially in those difficult times. And we do hope their sufferings will end.
I hope so too.
Let's hope for the best, yeah. So with the protraction of this ongoing war in Gaza, are you concerned that people's focus and attention will be shifted from other crises like those right now in Sudan, in Yemen?
Yeah.
And still, do you think the Middle East region could be deemed as a tinderbox?
You're 100% right. When there is, and Ukraine, we have to say Ukraine. It's not, of course, in the Arab region, but we have to say Ukraine as well. When there is a big crisis somewhere, it impacts everyone else, and also it makes people less, when you hear every single day how many people died, how many people were amputated, so they're less sensitive to human suffering. Some media tend to focus on certain hotspots, which is very understandable, of course, but we want the world's attention and the audience attention to be where it should be. And what we're happy for is our material is being used more and more by media, major, big and small. We are providing them with material that can put the focus back on all crises, because humans are humans everywhere. A civilian is a civilian that deserves protection and help and support everywhere.
I totally agree with that. Like we always say, the figures of the casualties, they are not just figures, not just numbers. Behind them, their lives.
100%, 100%.
We appreciate your works with such kind of compassion and humanity to convey also the core values of the UN. And we appreciate your efforts as our eyes to observe the real situations in Gaza, as our title today, even it's in Chinese. So I want to explain that to you. It means I am your eyes.
Wow.
And also like Ziad probably is your eyes right now on the ground in Gaza. Of course, we appreciate his work, and we would like to express our sincerest and our greatest wishes for him, for his safety, security, and his well-being.
Thank you so much. And this is a wonderful title, very creative, like all your work in the Chinese unit. Thank you so much for shedding light on all these crises and your wonderful work.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
接下来，联合国新闻将持续为您带来有关加沙局势的最新报道。当然，我们希望看到仍被扣留在加沙的人质能够尽早回家，加沙平民的死亡和苦难能够尽快结束。感谢收看本期《侃侃联合国》，我们下期再见。